Oh, I don't.
The Nerd and Tie podcast is unsurprisingly part of the Nerd and Tie podcast network. For more podcasts from actual play to true crime, please go to nerdandtie.com or join our Discord at nerdandtie.com/discord. And this is the part the audience can't hear. This month on Nerd and Tie, we're technically recording the August episode in September because timing is weird. We're celebrating 10 years of Nerd and Tie being a thing that exists. And also, I should probably mention that we are live at No Brand Con 2023 in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. All right, and welcome to Nerd and Tie. I am one of your hosts, Trae Dorn. Joining me, as always, is Genjamin Proc.
What up?
And that's it.
That's it. It's just us.
It's just us this month. For unfortunate reasons, Celeste has had a tragedy in the family that just occurred a couple of days ago, and so originally you were going to get all three of us. Now you're getting two of us, but we're
here and
we're alive.
And we're sending
Celeste all the love in the world, and
love.
please keep her and her family in your thoughts. And now that we started with the downer,
as usual,
let's attempt to recover what is a very weird episode because a lot of our plan hinged on all three of us being here.
Yeah. Oops.
And so we are completely improvising what we are doing this month. We do have one news story that we want to talk about in the convention scene, and then the rest of it, Lord knows what the hell we're doing. So we're gonna find out.
Hey, this weekend's already been a roller coaster. Why stop now?
It's a wild. So yeah, we are at No Brand Con 2023 in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. I almost instinctively said a different city's name right there.
How dare you?
What the absolute...
Fun things about being live at a place.
I don't know how much the mics picked that up, but you have to understand, listeners at home, if our mics did it, there was a big noise. A big noise that just happened. And our poor audience, like, we're not speaking on amplified microphones, so our poor audience is having to listen to us try to now compete with whatever just happened in there. Yeah, we are at No Brand Con 2023 in Stevens Point. It is this is the 20th No Brand Con, but this is the first year it's in Stevens Point, so it's been a heck of a time. Yeah, we're up against a cosplay panel. I don't know what just happened in that other room.
Ooh.
All right, so since we always do start with news, we are going to start with one big story that's been happening over the past month in the convention scene, and that is something that happened at Gen Con at the beginning of August. And that is there was a $300,000 theft of collectible cards at Gen Con during load-in this year. It's, yeah. So obviously anyone who's ever vended at a con knows that there can be a bit of chaos during vendor load-in. And, you know, and I say this full disclosure, I am in fact the vendor and artist alley coordinator for No Brand Con 2023.
Yep.
But, like, it is, like, at a big show, like, if you've ever worked, like, Gen Con or vended at, like, an ASEN, you know exactly how chaotic, like, vendor load-in is. And these two guys took advantage of it. They went in with, like, a pallet lifter and just went in, grabbed a pallet, and walked out casually. Now, these guys also were not wearing masks, and there are security cameras. So, please don't think this is some genius heist, you know? Well, I'm just also saying it's like, I understand that everybody wears masks, but like no one also usually doesn't think it's weird if you are wearing a mask.
Yeah.
I'm like,
you
have a socially acceptable way to get past security cameras right now, and you still, like a dumbass, stole the cards without it because the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department have in fact they've released photos of these guys. So, yeah, they stole $300,000 worth of, it's a combination of magic cards and a few other things. And that was, like, back at the beginning of the month. They have issued an update to that story. Indianapolis, I'm just going to read the update from the police. Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department detectives have developed a strong persons of interest regarding the theft of $300,000 worth of Magic the Gathering gaming cards from Gen Con Indy 2023. Police would like to speak with Thomas J. Dunbar, a.k.a. T.J. Dunbar, and Andrew Pearson Giame, a.k.a. Pearson Giame. Both are residents of New York City. So good luck, guys. We all know who you are.
Hecked up. Yeah, hecked up real bad there, guys.
Like, I mean, I'm a little surprised something like this hasn't happened sooner, right? Because, like,
Oh, yeah. And,
you can socially engineer your way into most vendor rooms at big shows.
well, and like, theft from vendor rooms, artist alleys is rampant at the big show.
It is, yeah, and it's going to happen.
absolutely a
It's
thing.
happened at small shows. Like, it
Oh, yeah, all
historically
over.
has happened at NobraCon. We did have a little bit of a scare with one of our vendors here who thought they had like $300 worth of Lorcana cards get stolen. It turned out that their assistant put it under the table and didn't tell
thank
them.
goodness.
But it gave me nearly a panic attack because I knew
Yeah.
that the only people who had access to this room since you left it are other vendors and hotel staff. Because I locked it.
And you,
But of course, it did not happen. But like like at a small show like ours, like there are only a limited number of vendors, right? Like after during load-in, like I recognize everybody in there. Like
Yeah.
I can spot a face that shouldn't be in there pretty easily. At a big show like this, though, where you've got so many vendors, like if you've ever been in the hall the size of the vendor room at Gen Con, the fact that nobody's socially engineered their way in there, and because you walk in with a pallet jack, nobody checks. Nobody checks.
oh, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a convention without a badge.
Oh yeah, that's the old.
And just like nobody cares because like
This
I'm
is-
wearing a staff shirt. And
I
I'm
used
just going
to
places.
effectively pen test conventions for
Yeah.
fun, where I would buy a badge. I'd have a badge on me, and I tend to wear it tied to a loop around my belt, and then I just hold it up to people when they need to see it.
Yeah.
Right? I used to do a test. I haven't bothered doing this in a while, but I used to do a test where I would slip the badge into my pocket, and I would just see how long I could go before someone asked me to see it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name the convention, but I went 3 hours and get into every single room of this one convention, including their staff area,
Oh wow.
without anybody checking. And this was not a con where people knew me, because like there are conventions that I go to where the staff knew me as a person and just already knew I was attending, and so like those don't really count. I was a stranger to these people, and I was able to get into their dealer room, their staff room, their everything. It's the staff room I had no defense about, but like usually it was because my plan is when I do this, I got bolder. Because my plan is when I do this is that if someone stops me, you're like, oh, I just forgot to, and I show them my badge and I don't get in trouble. But so like the fact that like it is way easier at a lot of cons to get away with certain things if you have people not paying attention.
Yeah.
So it's like the fact that this hasn't happened sooner, that a theft this large hasn't happened before, is actually kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a good.
I mean, it's
honestly,
good.
It's good that it hasn't happened before because that means security has been enough. I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah.
Or just nobody's thought to do this.
I think no one's thought to do it.
Yeah, that's way more likely. But hopefully, this will encourage better security.
Yeah.
Because, like, honestly, it's lucky that like these guys didn't hide their faces and they got caught.
Yeah. Well,
Like, if
it's
they
like,
would've been
on
a
the
little
one
bit
hand, it's like
smarter-
they thought to do something that no one thought to do before, but they didn't do it well enough to get away with it.
Exactly. It's like,
Hopefully the next guy's smart. Not hopefully.
no, not hopefully. I don't want Oceans 2 to spiral.
This is more like Puddles 2.
These two little raindrops come in and take a pallet.
Yeah. So that is the one actual real
Our
story.
only news for
That
this
is the
month.
only
That's
real
it.
news. So it's like the plan for this episode was to talk about the 10 years of the show that we've been doing and the weird kind of like change in things that's happened since we started doing the show.
Yeah.
Celeste is not here. Celeste is the only person besides me who's been here since day one. Again, you joined us in 2017 is when you officially became part of the show. You
Yeah.
had guested on episodes prior to
Yeah.
that. This is such a weird thing to be doing this podcast 10 years later. We started this podcast actually, so not far down the road. The idea for this show came to me randomly in the summer of 2013, in July of 2013, and I was driving to the Northwoods and I was driving past WasabiCon.
Oh, yeah.
In Wausau. And I knew I had some friends there. I had Celeste was there, but so was Firsters, who used to be on the show. And I was just driving through town, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll stop by and say hi. And I saw them pull out of the parking lot of the hotel to drive to get lunch, and I followed them.
Like a weirdo.
Yeah, like a weirdo.
Yeah.
I tailed them to the Dickies in Wausau from the convention hotel, and just like I ended up getting lunch with Fur and Celeste, and I just like was like, hey, we should, because like, you know, we're a bunch of white people, we get bored. I should be like, hey, we should do a podcast. That's so creative. No one's ever done that before.
Yeah.
It was 2013. It was less common.
That's true, but
so I was just like, hey, the three of us should do a show. Fur actually suggested the idea name of the show be Nerd and Tie, which is a name we have been stuck with. It's not a bad name, but none of the rest of us have a fetish for formal wear.
No.
So,
and none of the other podcasts on the network have anything to do, really.
no, it's it's so weird. So like we started the show on a budget of $0.
Yep.
I was using my iPhone headset plugged into my Mac.
Oh my gosh.
Like I think Fur was on a gaming headset, and Lord knows what Celeste was using.
Probably earbuds.
Yeah, I don't, and like, you know, eventually, like, and so we just started doing the show, and you know, we experimented a lot, but mostly we found our niche was convention news. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
And at the time, that was a perfect like thing to settle on for a podcast, because there were so many conventions and so much drama happening all the time.
Oh God, yes, the Wisconsin con scene used to be fucking nuts.
It was wild, y'all.
Like, you have to understand, we had like, so GeekCon and DaishoCon are both gone, but they were like,
I mean, they were.
I think, okay, everybody
established.
involved in those things already knows what I think about them, so I don't think I'm actually going to like hurt anything if I just go full unfiltered on this.
Go for it.
Because usually I'm wearing my pretend there's no logo here on my shirt.
Unaffiliated. Don't look.
These
at
are the opinions of Trae Dorn and maybe Nerd and Tie, but not the opinions of the convention we're at. I have witnessed some of the most dysfunctional convention staffs between the two of those throughout the history of staffing. Let me tell you, a volunteer-run organization where somebody is worried about someone else usurping power is just like,
Oh, gosh,
why?
yeah.
This is a hobby,
it was
guys.
so
You're not.
weird.
This is.
The freaking power plays and like political tactics that they were using to like try to get each other like, oh, who's gonna be this head, and like making your friends.
He's
heads
trying
of
to
thing.
oust me as
Right?
cosplay head, and I'm like, but you're not getting paid for that, right? No. So what are you losing if you lose being cosplay? Like, what does he gain by being that? Like,
Just a title.
please tell me what any of this actually means to your actual day-to-day life. There are people who, because they have so little power in their day-to-day life, the
Yeah,
moment they
they
get
could-
any kind, even in some just basic perceived field, will fall down a hole. So we had like a lot of stuff to go over. And then, you know, of course, we broadened out and talked about other people, and oh God, that dominates a lot of our history.
Yeah.
There's a whole podcast y'all should listen to from about a month ago.
Yes.
But so we started doing written convention news on the website in 2014, like a year in. And we tried to be a pop culture blog also, but nobody read that, and they only read the convention news. So we
Yeah.
kept doing the convention news and podcasts, and that's it. Because believe it or not, like if you have one thing that is 90% of your traffic, but you're doing like 80% of the work on this other thing, why are you doing the other thing?
Don't do it.
You're not having fun doing it. Nobody's reading it.
Don't do it. Don't stress yourself out that
Don't
much.
stress yourself out. Do the thing that you're doing that no one else is doing that they do like.
Yeah. Be you.
There's a lot of do's in that. Anyways,
Doo-doo.
so we started doing that, and then we started doing the text reporting. The text reporting is what got a lot of people to know who we were. Like, it's
Yes,
the funny
those
thing
articles
is it's
got
like,
out there.
Yeah, the articles got out there, and we covered some other notable things in the convention scene.
Yeah.
Other notable figures. Again, you should really listen to the July episode.
Yes.
Because one of those
Go to the website.
figures, one of those public figures sued us for 7 years.
And you will learn the whole story in that previous episode.
Yeah, it took 7 years. That didn't end until July of this year. Yeah, but we won. So, yay.
Yay, we won. Technically.
Yeah, so thank you, audience, for acknowledging that you are listening to what we're saying.
Lol.
So it's been strange. So like the expansion of this network, and I'd really like Celeste to be right here giving me a great anecdote about something, but we tried to expand to other podcasts right away. So like we've eventually become a full network. Fur did a show for a whole 2 episodes and gave up on it. Always wanted to follow through that, man. We ran a weird convention in 2016.
Oh, yeah.
That
was a thing.
probably would have kept going because No Brain Con had moved to the Dells at that point. So we were like, we're going to start a new con in Eau Claire. Eau Claire can support a con. And then they tore down our hotel a month later.
Yep.
And if you're ever wondering, hey, was there a thing called Nerd and Tie Expo? There was. Why doesn't it exist anymore? I mean, I guess you could show up on a weekend in that hospital that's on that site now. But I don't think they'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
So it's like we've tried lots of things, but what we found out though is that we started working with other people and just doing more podcasts and turned this into a network, which is
Yeah.
hilarious because the show you're listening to is technically our quote unquote flagship podcast, right? It's got the name of the network in it.
This is the name.
This is our least listened to show.
Yeah, nobody.
The audience in this room is probably larger than the audience of some episodes.
Yeah.
Thousands of people will read an article I write. Thousands of people will listen to our other shows, yet the one that has the name in it, it's like, somebody does? There's a very loyal set of listeners who do exist.
Yes. And we appreciate
And we
them.
make it for them. But
Yes.
I will admit that what's really happened is that we've tried to make a product out of hanging out once a month.
I mean, granted,
That's
we get
unhealthy,
to hang out
right?
once a month.
I mean, yeah, but I'm realizing, we could just like talk to each other.
Yeah. But why do that?
But I
when
also
we can
have
record it. And
but
you
I've
have
also
fun
over
things,
the last decade I've bought thousands of dollars of recording equipment. We got to use it for something.
right.
So it's God, we're only 18 minutes in. Oh boy. What's happening on the internet? No, So it's let's talk about No Brain Con then, since we're here.
Oh yeah, and I mean, we have a long history. Like,
We do.
personally with
Well,
No
I
Brain
mean,
Con.
I'm a co-founder of No Brain Con,
Exactly.
full disclosure.
Yeah.
I have been here since before it was a thing. Sometimes I like to tell people I named it. We actually just honestly don't remember who came up with the name. It was 4 of us in a room, and it's a reference to Here is Greenwood, which is an anime series that most people have not watched.
No, never heard of
In
it.
fact, most people hadn't watched it when we were watching it, but the end theme of Here is Greenwood has the English line, "We are the No Brand heroes."
That's right.
And so as a joke, so a group of us, 4 of us, had formed kind of an unofficial anime club at UW Eau Claire. And we were invited to... No Brand Con actually has its origin in Wausau, Wisconsin. Most people don't know this because there was this little con that doesn't exist anymore called WestCon at the time.
Oh.
It ran for 5 or 6 years at Wausau West High School. And one of the people who founded that when he was a high school student was Kevin Tambernino, a.k.a. Vink.
Ah,
And actually, Duct Tape Boy was originally conceived for
there.
WestCon.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And so it was a character. It was a character Vink created to host the WestCon cosplay contest,
Yeah.
costume contest. And we were invited to run the anime room there. And so as a joke, because we had just watched Here is Greenwood, is we made matching shirts to run the anime room that said "No Brand Hero" on the front, and on Cafe Press. because this was the year 2000. And so we went and we did it. So the four of us went, myself, Kevin Tambernino, Terrence Clark, a.k.a. Meep, and our friend Topher Marol. We went and we ran the anime room. And what we were doing, it was like, we should run. We were in the Excel Inn in Wausau, Wisconsin, the night before the con. And it was like, we should just run a convention. Because WestCon was a sci-fi con. We wanted to go to an anime convention. And so at the time, there were two anime conventions in the Midwest. There was Anime Central and Anime Iowa. We were people living in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And we did the math that we thought we could run an anime convention for less money than it would cost to go to one for the four of us.
Wow.
And I think we did.
Yes.
Because we came with No Brand Con because we were wearing the No Brand Hero shirts. We said, oh, we can call it No Brand Con. That's stupid. Let's come up with a better name later. We did not come up with a better name later. Let me tell you, there's a gaming convention that did happen later, and they called themselves Clearwater Con, and I was like, that's one of the names on the list that we said was stupid.
Yeah, well.
Eau Claire means Clearwater in French, just for those who don't care. But anyway, so like we ran the first No Brand Con, like, because we're at the 20th No Brand Con, which is fucking wild. In 2002, we ran the first No Brand Con on a budget of $1,300. Because, okay, we had an unofficial anime club, but we didn't want to actually be regulated by the university because we were meeting, like, we were joking around that we were a secret society and, like, we didn't want to grow. So we made a front organization. We made the Anime Appreciation Society of UW Eau Claire. We got this one professor, Professor Majstorovic, who's a poli-sci professor who just did not care about anything to be our sponsor. He just literally went, oh yeah, just put my name on the paperwork, and then we never, I mean, I saw him because I was a poli-sci major, but we never saw him again in relation to the event. He just would sign a piece of paper every year for us.
Nice.
We got the venue for free because it was the student union and we were a student organization, and a student organization could reserve the rooms for no cost. We got our AV equipment for free because we just used TV carts because this is 2002. And for young people, TVs used to be big and CRTs. They were like big, heavy things, boxes. And you would wheel them in on a cart.
On a tall cart.
This is back in the day where you could get away with running fan subs in your anime rooms and not get permission from anime companies. It's a very different world now. Like No Brand Con, we operate on the up and up. We get legal permission to show all of our anime and stuff. But like back then, I had a VCD player hooked up to my PlayStation 1, and we burned fan subs onto a VCD. If you could get
a physical copy, you played it.
We had to burn you couldn't play like a video file from a computer easily to a TV, so we were burning VCDs of the fan subs that were downloaded off of Hotwire, I think. It was, and then we also had fan subs that were VHS tapes that we would get from, because back in the days with fan subbers, you would mail them a VHS tape for the cost and of shipping, and they would send you back the fan subs of the thing recorded onto your tape. It was the Wild West. And so we, like, our biggest expenses, we brought in Tiffany Grant as a voice actor our first year. I said it cost $1,300. The money had to go somewhere. We had to print some like the program guide was a single sheet of printer paper stuff that I printed on the university printer for free. Obviously we didn't have T-shirts. Our badges, our security measure on our badges was that they were printed on Manila cardstock.
Oh my god!
And it was just one badge design where you would like mark off a box as to what kind of badge it was.
Oh, that's where that came from.
Yeah,
because that was used in like random later years, I think. I've seen that somewhere. I don't know where.
I have there are photos.
Or have I seen like some of the early ones?
I used it in Unconventional also for like the flashback thing.
Where I
but also like we only did that the first year. Like the second year we just printed on regular cardstock and had different badge designs. Mm-hmm. Counterfeiting those badges is a lot easier than you think. So, but like, oh yeah, and we tied them with yarn. Our budget for lanyards was we bought a thing of yarn. We still have a backup emergency yarn ball in our stuff on the off chance we ever run out of lanyards. We have the yarn. We keep it in the convention storage unit. I held it in my hands 2 days ago.
I'm surprised it didn't turn out to be DIY con.
It's like it. We had our vendor room had so we had like one vendor in the there's this one vendor that I don't know if they exist anymore. I think they were called Goliath Games. They bought 8 tables and we made them the island in the middle of the vendor room. So there was always a vendor next to you, and we only had like 3 other vendors. We had a guy doing foam swords who was actually a guy I knew from high school. We had Wayne McLeod of Wayne's World. He used to vend all across the Midwest. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he was a sci-fi vendor at cons. We had him. And then one of the vendors was Vink selling off his excess anime collection. Vink was our one and only anime dealer because he just had too much stuff. And then there was the Vampire the Masquerade LARP had a table. They ran that on Water Street. The bar district in Eau Claire. Yeah. And so our video game room was a Dreamcast in the lobby.
Just the one.
Literally just the one. And so we had people, it was, and that like all first year conventions lose money. That's kind of a general rule. And we lost $20. It was my $20. I still have not been reimbursed.
How dare.
And so, we did not have a cosplay contest because we all came from. None of us had ever been to an anime con before. We'd all come from gaming and sci-fi cons. Like, I actually grew up working conventions, but I was working as a volunteer at Gen Con in the '90s as a kid growing up in Milwaukee. Now, they thought I was in my mid-20s when I was 15. So, because I wasn't legally allowed to actually be working for them, but no one checks your ID when you're 6'3" and have a large vocabulary. And I just remember being asked, like, "Hey, you want to go out to the safe house with us after at tonight?" And I was like, "No, my mom's picking me up." I was 15; I couldn't drive. So I did that for years, and Kevin had done WestCon for a few years, and so the two of us but we came from science fiction and gaming conventions where costume contests are a thing. But they're not the thing they are at anime cons.
No.
And so we kept having people asking us when the cosplay contest was, and we kept having to tell them no. Also, we were only a 2-day con. We were Friday, Saturday, because we just couldn't get any rooms for Sunday from the university. So the second year, we had also forgotten to... So second year, we do this again. We figure out a lot more stuff. We have a dedicated video game room. Still, people walk up to us and go like, "Oh, hey, when's the cosplay contest?" Oh, crap.
Oops.
The cosplay contest happened when so Kevin and Topher as Duct Tape Boy and Green Boy hosted the first costume contest in the lounge outside the vendor room.
Oh gosh.
Because it was the only space to do it. They did the judging themselves during it, having no preparation. And it was surprisingly, the first NovaCon had about 100 attendees. The second one had about 200 attendees. It surprisingly went well. But it was that's when we've learned a lot over the last, 2 decades by doing it wrong the first time and just getting lucky that nobody noticed how much we screwed up.
Hey, if you don't tell people you made a mistake, they don't know you made a mistake.
Sure.
I'm sure.
Well, I mean, most of them, yes.
Yeah.
So it's like that con evolved so large. So we eventually stopped being a student university organization because we had this front organization to run the convention, but they started meeting on their own and actually kind of becoming a club. The gall of them.
Yeah, how
thinking
dare
that they
actually
get to
become an anime club for at the university.
But we kept using their student, so there would be their real meetings, their real meetings on Wednesday, and then our no BrandCon meetings on Thursday. We created them in part to use their student financial account to keep money in their activities account with the university. And those accounts are really designed to just keep like a couple $100s in it. They think you're going to do a bake sale and have somewhere to put money. Our treasurer had access to that account. The Anime Club's treasurer did not.
Oh.
Which was fine. We got away with it. But what happened is that, so we started running the con and we started doing better. And we had about 10 grand in an account where you're not really supposed to have more than like $200. And the university went, oh, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
We are not FDIC insured.
Oh, no.
And so they made us go get a real bank account. And
No BrandCon grew up.
And so that's when we had to actually form the nonprofit No BrandCon Incorporated. Oh yeah, it's I describe us sometimes though as loophole con. We are 100% legally fulfilling every obligation we have to be, but we fall under what is the least effort we have to do to be legal?
Yep.
We have found that path. We are a social club with less than $50,000 in cash at any point.
I was thinking you could be a church instead.
Nah. Church, you got to believe in something. Social club, you just, as long as you're not paying anyone, you just need to put all of the money back into the event.
Yep.
Like it's our primary source of income has to be people paying for membership. So your attendee fee, that has to account for, I don't remember if it's 80 or 90% of the income of the organization. And then all the money has to go into running social events for the organization, which is
The con.
the con. So many cons make the mistake of trying to go 501c3 and trying to find an excuse to have an educational purpose. I've been to those cons. They're not fucking educational.
No.
I
learned things.
I learned the words to the Venga bus.
Right? I learned some things, but
We
they're
like
probably
to party. We like to party.
not. Will you stop? You've been doing this for a month. Don't encourage
We
them.
like to party.
Don't encourage them.
Can I get a
Stop
we
it.
like to party
No!
from the audience? To party. We like to party. Like to party. Listeners, again, is slowly dying next to
The
me.
only thing worse would be if Gabo was singing it.
Oh, so Stormwood
No,
Associates
I
is one of the
said
other
the name.
podcasts on the network. There's a recurring NPC that Gen desperately hates named Gabo the Goblin.
Because it's a bad guy that I let live. It's my fault he exists.
And now he's part of the
And
major
he's
villain
really
arc.
annoying.
Mostly Gabo is like a used car salesman, only also the general of an invading goblin army.
Yeah. It's really annoying. I don't like him.
It's
But
really
now he's integral to the story, so I can't do anything about it.
I think he's more beatable as a car dealer than an evil invading general.
Go and listen to Stormwood and Associates, and you will understand.
or
what
just
I
listen to the Meat Grinder
mean.
season 1.
Yeah, season 1 Meat Grinder. Perfect.
It's only a 9-episode season. It's a standalone story. Meat Grinder, he's introduced in that.
Yep.
And they locked him in a car trunk instead of killing him, thus beginning Gen's pain forever.
Yep. I did this to myself.
Yeah, so it's no
anyways.
BrandCon, as we are at the 20th No BrandCon.
Yes.
It's we kept growing in Eau Claire, and then we moved into so No BrandCon did not moved out of first 3 years it was at the university. No BrandCon 4 is the first year we went to a hotel. It went to a hotel because in the spring at the UW Eau Claire there's this thing called the Viennese Ball,
It's a
which
big thing.
is a big thing
It's a
mostly to
huge
get
thing.
money out of alumni.
Yep.
We couldn't get any other weekend except for we had to move to March, and then Anime Detour scheduled themselves on our announced weekend. And again, we were in Eau Claire, they're in Twin Cities. They were an hour away from us. We could not get a different weekend at the university, and so we were forced to go to a hotel, which is the luckiest thing that ever happened to us, because we went to the Plaza Hotel, RIP, in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and held our first off-campus year there. We then went to the Ramada in downtown Eau Claire the year after that, which confused a lot of people because in 2004, the hotel that would become the Plaza was the Ramada and had just become the Plaza right before we went there in 2005.
Yeah.
So we told people we're moving to the Ramada. A lot of people went, wait, we thought you were at the Ramada. And, you know, we were there, we went there for 5 years, and then that place started going to crap. Rain started coming down in the video game room.
Yep.
And when we went to the hotel, we were like, hey, this is a problem. There's water coming down on thousands of dollars of video game systems. Also, our video game room used to be, everybody pulled the TVs out of their dorm rooms and their video game systems and just drove it all to the hotel.
Yep.
That was how we used to do a video game room. It was just everybody's personal systems and TVs loaded into a room. And so it was all our own personal TVs and video game systems getting water on them. And we were like, hey, why is this happening? And they went, oh, yeah, it's Sunday. That just happens.
Yeah.
It's Sunday.
Yeah.
That just happens.
Yeah.
So we went back to the Plaza for another 5 years. And they kept raising their rates on us. And they were falling into disrepair.
Yep.
And so we moved to the Dells. And right after we moved to the Dells, the Plaza went out of business and got demolished.
Yep.
And also,
So that was honestly like good timing on that part.
after we left the Ramada, they went out of business also. And the new owners reopened it without half of the conference space because, yeah, the parts where the water was coming in, they went, oh yeah, let's not rent that to people.
Oh, what a concept. What an idea.
Well, they didn't go, let's fix it.
Oh,
So who
no.
knows what weird water damage is down there, but still. And so we stayed in the Dells for a while. And who here has been to No Brand Con in the Wisconsin Dells? I just want to say a lot
Yeah.
of the room raised their hands.
Yep, most of the room.
Who there found anything at that con the first time they tried to find it? We got like one hand up. It's the Chula Vista Resort. When we left, we had attendee activity split across 3 levels. The first year we were there, it was across 5. There are anime rooms. The anime rooms, the first year we were there, I never found them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's an absolute maze in there.
I literally, like, the last year we were there, because the hotel kept giving them to us, the last year we were there, I just went, Zach, I need to see where these rooms are. We're never going to be here again. I need to find out where the heck these rooms on the map are. And, like, you have to go down to the basement and then up a half flight of stairs and then down a hallway full of guest rooms. And then you get to them and they are like this. Like, when I tell people it's like the back rooms, I need you to understand I am not
Yes.
exaggerating. They are yellow
Yes.
wallpapers with yellow tinted lights. And the hotel, even though we told them we're not going to use them, set them up with water stations and like tables. So you walk into this room set for a conference room that is never going to happen. And they're interconnected. And so, like, you're walking through these interconnected rooms of yellow light in like this half basement. There are no windows
Yep.
in this half basement of a hotel, and it was like, I wish I had taken photos. It was me and Zach at 3 a.m. on the Saturday of last year's No Brand Con, and it was like, Zach is the hotel head for No Brand Con these last couple of years, and it was the eeriest, weirdest experience. We, like, you had to, in that hotel, so you got on the main level, you had Artist Alley and main programming and like the panel rooms and tabletop gaming.
Yep.
In the level below that, you had the video gaming and you had the dealer hall.
Yep.
And the stairway to get there
Oh my gosh.
looked like it wasn't stairs. It looked like
Yeah.
it was just a door to the outside,
Yeah.
and you had to know the stairs were there to find them.
And most people like couldn't even like find where they were.
So
but
mo-
there was an elevator.
There was an
you could
elevator
use
that most people had to. So there's a huge lot of people. And now, first off, also you would think, hey, we could just put up signs. The Chula Vista forbids you from putting any signs up on the walls. So we had a confusing layout and no way to tell people how to get anywhere.
Because I remember back at the plaza, like we had we printed out like giant maps of the floor plan and just put them around the space.
Yeah.
And the Chula Vista is just a labyrinthian nightmare.
And that's not even to tell you how to get to the buffer room.
Oh gosh,
So to get to the buffer room,
I don't think I ever.
there
went-
is first off, the staff room is on another level, and it was the elevator out in the lobby, right, of that hotel. That's also where the anime room was for most of the time we were there. We eventually moved that to the main floor. To get to the multi-purpose room, which is where Boffer is held, you had to get into an elevator. We had to go to the ones marked for the steakhouse, the Chop House
Yes!
restaurant. And so you had to tell people,
Which are a
okay.
whole different
So when the anime was
section.
upstairs, it was like, okay, so if you want to go there, you want to go down that hall to that elevator. You want to go to the buffer room, go to this elevator that's marked for the steakhouse, and hope that like you're not. But the Chop House people also hated us because when we did our dance and main programming, it was
Yes.
audible in there,
Yep.
and the Chop House manager was so mad at us and like would complain. But then the hotel manager was like, oh yeah, ignore that guy. Like, oh yeah, if that guy complains, just ignore him. Like the restaurant management and the event management staff at that hotel were apparently not friends.
Oh, fun.
And we got to be the pawn in their little private war.
Yay.
So, like, for those of you who are at No Brand Con, would you consider this to be a better layout of a convention center?
Yeah, I haven't been to them, so this is a better layout just for you describing.
Yeah.
For reference, for audio reference, and for people who aren't here, the current hotel we're at in Stevens Point, the convention space is literally a giant rectangle with a big hall. One big hall. Everything's off of this one hall. It is so easy to navigate. You just walk down the hall and you look.
Well,
at
it's a T.
stuff.
It's a T. Because we've got the one home.
Technically, it's a T.
It's a T,
that
but
links to the
everything's off of it.
concessions. But like,
Yeah.
it's so easy to find anything,
Like,
and the spaces are huge.
yeah. It is it's like the best ideal layout for a small con,
It is. It really
which is unfortunately what we are.
Wow.
Yeah, No Brand Con lost some attendance this year, which was a risk with the move.
It's always a risk with moving.
I can tell you the exact attendance of No Brand Con right now as of this moment.
Oh, getting some stats up in here.
This is a warm body count. This is exclusive because there are pre-registrants who paid and never showed up. This is not a paid attendance. This is a warm bodies. The current number is only 467. Which is about where we were at No Brand Con 5.
Yeah.
So it's,
Hey, we got people here.
yeah, but who here has had a good time at No Brand Con? And that's what's important.
Right, quality over quantity.
Look, I'll take a great convention with a few people than a lousy convention with a bunch.
Right, and for us especially like NoVerCon, and I know a lot of my personal friends say this. Like for my friend group, a lot of us were like part of NoVerCon staff in the past, and we continue to come to this con because we know all of our friends are going to be here. This is a very friend con for us. And it's just like, oh, going to No Brand, seeing all the friends, seeing everybody's faces in person, because I've been a hermit for this past year. It's just,
Oh,
even
God,
though-
yeah. I don't-
even though it's
I don't
small,
go out
like
anymore.
I don't really care, like, because I
Yeah.
get to see people.
Well, and like you can actually, yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. Is it's like I think it's a pretty friendly atmosphere.
Yeah.
I think we're friendly people. I think you're all friendly people. I think it's weird that you came to see this weird podcast.
Yeah,
It's
why did you do
amazingly that
this?
so few of you left after we started. And so, okay, right now it is 12:44. That's really helpful for listeners at home. Yes, listener, whatever
Listener.
time your clock says it is, ignore
wrong.
it. It's wrong.
It's wrong.
It's actually
It's
12:44.
12:44.
You're late.
You're
You are
You were
late
supposed to
for
be
that
there
thing.
an
You're supposed to
hour
be there
ago.
already.
How
you
dare
are late.
you?
What is
What are you
wrong with you?
doing?
The heck, Bob?
Don't forget
Bob,
your
what is
keys.
wrong with you, Bob?
Why didn't you grab your
You're
keys?
disappointing your mother
They're
again,
over
Bob.
on the dresser. They're right there. Just grab the keys and then
You need to
can
be trying
leave.
harder,
You're gonna
Robert.
be late.
Robert.
What are you doing?
Damn it, Robert.
Come on.
So, anyways,
Anyways,
I wanted
hey, we
to.
warned you there was gonna be improv.
I was wondering if anybody had any questions that they wanted to ask, or if there's anything that they wanted to say, since apparently some of you know who we are.
Also, at some point, maybe I could talk about my history with the con.
Oh, yeah,
'Cause
sure,
you
go
talked
ahead.
about the whole history of the con because you were there.
I'm old.
You are, but it's okay.
You can talk again. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I
I'm
just feel
sorry.
Trae's excellent at talking, and I am too polite to interrupt them,
Gen
even
needs
though
to
they've
interrupt.
told me I should.
I want Gen to interrupt me.
I know, but no,
Gen,
it's impolite for me to interrupt.
stop explaining about the
No.
interrupting and say the words you actually want to say.
Okay, so yeah, I was staff of NoBradCon. I have a terrible memory for dates, so excuse me. My memory is garbage. But basically, I graduated high school in 2008, and
Baby.
I was a weeb and I didn't even know it because I took Japanese in high school. I took Japanese language in my high school for 4 years, and I knew nothing about anime conventions. And I don't know how I heard about NoBradCon. And my first NoBradCon was back in the
You're
Ramada.
from Eau Claire and you took Japanese for 4 years. You definitely heard it from somebody.
Oh, apparently, but I'd never gone until like the 08 year, I think.
Well, that's about when it would have been appropriate for you to go.
Exactly. And
I think
it
that's when I
was-
started emailing high schools.
That may
like
have,
mailing high school anime
with the
clubs.
mailing list.
Yeah.
That may have been it.
Yeah.
And I
And I mean
actually
actual mail, physical mail,
like
not
we
email.
technically
Like
you
letters.
and I technically met.
Sure, we did.
Okay.
No.
Two specific occasions that I remember seeing you because you are large and intimidating when someone doesn't know how lovely you are.
I mean, I'm large.
When you are like tired at a con and determined and you have your like determined face on, people can misinterpret that as anger.
Well, okay, so I'm also usually the person fixing problems.
Exactly.
And,
And
so if you
you
see
are
me like, if you see me with a straight expression moving very quickly down a hallway,
Yep.
there's probably a reason.
Yes. And and here I am like a little babu, like never been to a con before.
Let's show the height difference between you and I.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm still little babu. I am a whopping 5 feet tall.
I'm 6'3".
So, but I remember like it was late. I was tired. I didn't know like what I was gonna do or where my friends were, and like you like were like speeding by and you're like, "Don't fall asleep in the hallways."
Oh,
You
No
barked that
camping.
out, and it just like scared the crap out of me. But I participated in the cosplay contest, and I scared the bejesus out of you
I used to host cosplay a lot. So
because I was the Doraemon that jumped off the stage.
I have no memory of this.
Good, because you were scared at the time. I had a little propeller.
Oh,
on my
I do
head,
remember. That
and it
was you?
That was me.
The propeller is what, like, yeah,
Yup.
no, wow, okay.
I don't know where my brain was at that time. So
Wow.
So that was technically our first like.
So the problem is also, like, for those of you who don't know me, I'm actually really bad with faces.
Well, and my
Masks
face was
are
like
great
painted.
because it gives me an excuse to not have to have recognized somebody until they talk. Because the
Yeah.
problem is that, like, 90% of the people I meet, I don't recognize them until they talk without a mask.
Oh, and it's even worse.
Now you all
with,
get to
like-
live like me.
Oh, and it's even worse at conventions where everybody's like.
Oh, everybody at every
wigged and
convention
makeup
looks
and-
exactly the same.
Yeah.
This is a theory I have.
Yep.
I did conventions in Indiana for like I lived in Indiana for 7 years, and I did conventions there. And everyone, like, I kept thinking I saw people I knew out of the corner of my eye, and they never were those people when I actually looked at them. But like, it's because everybody at every convention looks exactly the same. Like, there are types. There are types of people. I can see several of them in this room. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way people are. But
That's the way you categorize them.
right. But it does, except for the one time it actually was Jeffro
Oh.
at a small gaming convention
Oh.
in Indiana.
Okay.
And it was just Jeffro badging the room.
Oh.
And that screwed with me. He's just a guy who staffs cons, but he lives in like Wisconsin. So like
It was weird.
it was weird.
Understood. But yeah, eventually I actually attended University of Eau Claire.
Yeah.
I
I remember you when you joined No Brand Con staff.
Yes, because one of the cool things about No Brand Con staff was that most of us were students of the university, and there was an area in one of the cafeterias that was like our corner. It was an extended
The tables.
The tables, yeah,
Is what we called them.
yeah, and at any given point in time on any given date, there was somebody from the extended group of us
Yeah,
that was at those.
That was
tables.
started by my generation and was still happening
And
by the
still
time you
happened,
were
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same tables.
So it was this
That
wonderful.
building no longer exists. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the original student union we used to hold in also got torn down.
Yep, it's gone.
Look, if we leave your venue, odds are
we're sorry. Are we
it's
sorry?
gonna get demolished or condemned.
Yeah. I don't know if we're sorry or not.
Good luck, Chula Vista. Have a good time.
But it was just a wonderful like pre-built community that you could just slot yourself into, and like, oh, I always have someone to eat with. I always have someone to hang out with, like on my downtime between classes. Like I can just go to these people and talk about anime and whatever and be weird, and they're not gonna like judge me or bully me or anything. And then like there was the Anime Society, and there were Otaku Anonymous.
Yep.
Like there were these different.
Were you there for the era when we integrated the juggling club and took over the juggling club? None of us could juggle.
I think that was before me.
Yeah, I knew it happened.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was still going because I took a few years off of
No.
college, but I did graduate in like 2007. So like
Yeah.
I was gone by the time you were there. But we took over the juggling club, which
Ah.
met on Tuesdays and Thursdays after at 4 in the afternoon.
Okay.
I learned how to do a Diablo
Oh, nice.
because I can't juggle.
Oh, yeah.
I was like treasurer of the juggling club, and I could not juggle.
That's great.
We just like camped out and took over orgs
Yeah.
because we were bored.
And like
College.
created. No Brand Con had like a rich society surrounding.
Back then, yeah.
Back then.
Yeah, I wish we still had that, but it's
and honestly, I'm really
move to
glad
the
that
Dells-
like
yeah,
I
no.
attended, like I was
Yeah.
part of staff during the teens.
well, we had this
the
great thing when we were in Eau
20
Claire that we met the so there's a service learning requirement at UW Eau Claire.
Yes.
And we got it so we qualified as a nonprofit for the service learning requirement.
That
So we
was
used to be able to
awesome.
they had to do 20 hours
Yep.
of service learning. They could knock out 15 of those hours just working the conventions. So go to 5 meetings and work the con. There's your service learning.
Yeah.
And so I got my service learning in college, but the
Same.
problem is I in college was like one of the top people at No Brand Con at the time. And I had to, but a student can't sign for the organization, so I had to have one of my subordinates in the organization sign my service learning
Oh.
as my supervisor
That's great.
because the only person above me in the organization was also a student.
That's funny.
So, like, yeah, I had to be like, it was Paul. It was the
Oh,
Herald.
yeah.
I had to be like, Paul, I need you to do something for me. I need you to lie and say you're my boss. So yeah, it was that's what I really missed that we were able to do that for so long because
Yeah.
that kept one of the keys to keeping any convention going is young and new staffers
Yeah.
because I don't know if you know this, but eventually you reach an age where you can't staff until 4 in the morning, get 2 hours of sleep, and then work the rest of the day.
yeah.
Somehow your body stops doing that at about 27. 27's about the
doesn't
age
like it
where it's
anymore.
like, no, I want to sleep. Trae, you need to sleep now. Go to bed, Trae. Yeah, I'm 43. I'm still trying to do this nut stuff. If you hear my voice right now, I sound terrible. Like compared to normal. Like, I am losing my voice. And this is actually, like, I actually did drink water this year.
Haha,
This
good.
this is better than it's been sometimes.
Good.
Yeah, but it is 12:55, so we should actually, like,
Okay.
does anyone have anything that they want to say or yell at us, since we are actually live in person and we've traditionally done that?
Yeah.
I'm betting. Oh, Viga.
We got.
Viga wants to know, what do we want from the future from No Brand Con? More attendees.
Yeah.
No, honestly, like, okay, so Stevens Point, like, and I'll talk about the closing ceremonies in the No Brand Con capacity. If you come to that at like 4:00, I know a lot of people go home by then, but like if you come to that 4:00, I think that as long as we can make this work, I'd like to stay in this hotel for a long time. I'd like to build in. I would like to connect with the local so the problem is we're Labor Day weekend this year, and that means it was really hard to connect with the student population this year. And
Yeah.
I really wanted, like, I want to try to connect with kind of the student orgs there and work out, like, I want to get them working this con. No,
Well,
at the very least, yeah, it's.
at the very least, get
I want to find out if Stevens Point is a service learning requirement. No,
right. I mean, at least get the student population to like know about this.
like,
and
let
come
them know it
attend.
exists, because it's really hard to, like, we advertised around town here a lot, but it's really hard to get the attention of people who aren't there yet.
Yeah.
You know, it's so there's a, you know, I think there's, but I really love this. Like, for me, when we were in the Dells, the con never quite felt right.
Well, what helps for this particular location, as opposed to the Dells specifically, and
Is
anybody
we're in a
who's
town and not the woods.
yeah, anybody else who's been to the Dells could say like
The
it
Chula
is-
Vista Resort is
is
some
so
pretty
far away from
Look, I'll say
anything
it's got
else.
some pretty places to do some nice cosplay shoots on the grounds
Oh,
of
yeah.
that resort.
I mean, here in Point.
But if you want to get McDonald's,
go
go drive a half hour.
Yeah. Whereas here we got an Arby's across the parking lot, we got an Aldi's across the parking lot. Go get groceries and like keep like your mini fridge stocked in your room. Like
Yeah.
there's so much stuff here.
Yeah, so someone just said, yeah, there's no universities. The real problem with the Dells is, yeah, it's the population. There's only 10,000 people between the Dells and Lake Delton. There is no
Yeah.
local population. It was
Yeah.
100% a tourism con. And what we really want to do, what we miss from Eau Claire, is that we really want to be integrated into the community long term. Like, we want, like, we can't go back to Eau Claire, right? Like, there's no home there for the thing. So, like, being in a college town and being part of a town, Stevens Point has a feel very similar to Eau Claire. It's not quite as big, but it's got a very similar feel as a town.
Well, and plus Stevens Point is like I'd
Gen
say it's
also wants us to be here because Gen now lives
I
in
live
Stevens
here,
Point.
so I get to stay at my house. Yes.
In Eau Claire, I live like 2 blocks from Gen's parents.
Yeah, it's
but
weird.
yeah, it is weird. But Gen now lives in Stevens Point, so
Yes.
you should come back to staff.
Shush.
Yes, Viga.
What up?
Can we use your house as another part of the con?
No.
Can we have a party at your house?
No.
Yeah, because like
My
room
house is
parties
too
aren't
small.
a thing. We could do like a house party on Saturday
No.
night.
No, you'll scare my cats.
The property schedule.
No. No.
For those of you who can't hear on the podcast
Hey, if we're doing a
version,
viewing room in my house, it's my choice.
people are trying to harass Gen into making her house part of the convention.
No. It's too far away.
Well, you're not using it right now. You're here.
Hush.
All right, so with that, it is where our time is about up. So I'm gonna have to wrap this up. So I am Trae Doran,
I'm getting proc.
and you can follow the show on social media, I guess. We're on Facebook at Facebook/NerdandTie. We're on Tumblr at nerdandtie.tumblr.com. That's right, we have a Tumblr.
Heck yeah.
Deal with it. And also, I guess we have a Twitter or an X or whatever they're calling it. It just auto updates with stuff from the site. Actually, it doesn't. I have to manually post those now because
Yeah,
Elon
it's
turned off the API.
Thanks, bud.
So I guess you can follow if you want. Other than that,
Join the Discord and talk at us there.
yeah, Discord, nerdandtie.com/Discord. You'll find an invite, and you can talk to us there. And you know, have a good rest of the convention. People in the room.
Yeah.
And if you're at home and you weren't here, your life is sad and ours was better because we were here and got to see each other in the faces, in the eyes, man.
Yeah.
That's.
You missed out.
I don't know how to end it. I guess
Should
keep
I
on spocking in the
keep on
free
spocking
world.
in the
Keep
free
on
world.
spocking in the free world is what we'll go with there. And thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
I know this was weird, and thank you for tolerating it.
Yeah, thank you for indulging us. Podcast out.